Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What are companion videos? Well, I'm awfully glad that you asked. To see, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday, we save some time during the show to take some live questions. However, we don't always have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in, but if you send in those questions, I want to make sure they get answered properly in a video. So it's been kind of a busy week around here, so we're a little bit behind. These are the companion videos. These are the most recent ones, but these are the companion questions that we get caught up on that came from Tuesday's show. I know today's Thursday. Like I said, it's just been a busy couple of days, not to mention last night I had to go off to a screening in Hollywood to go and see, or actually all the way into West LA to go see, what did I see? Ford versus Ferrari, which I gave my review on, and I thought that was fantastic. But it is time for us to get caught up on those leftover questions, so let's not waste any more time and get right to it. And we're start getting caught up here with Russell Amador, who writes, Marty as the Joker? Sign me up. Cool pick, John. So on Thursday's show, Ray did a great thumbnail of Marty Scorsese as Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, because we were talking about how the fact that he was going to direct Joker for like 4 years, but he ultimately decided to pass on it. But yeah, Ray did a great job with that. Thanks for mentioning that, Russell. All right, Voltron Prime writes, celebrating 8-year-old Matt's birthday at Galaxy's Edge. What a great way to spend a kid's birthday, dude. Well, first of all, going to Galaxy's Edge, I have a lot of fun at Galaxy's Edge. I love it. So going there for any reason is a good thing to do. But going there for your 8-year-old's birthday, that's even more premium. I hope you guys have a fabulous, fabulous time. Okay, Coolsome XD writes, Travolta and Cage must have the exact same size manhood for the wife to be fooled in Face Off. Maybe, but you know, you might be distracted by other things. I'll give them the benefit of that Coolsome. It is something they probably didn't think about when they were making the movie, though. You're probably right about that. Christopher Bigelow writes, hey, John and crew, big fan since AMC. Thank you so much, Christopher. Moved from Delaware to Oregon, so you changed time zones, a few months ago. Been a pleasure actually getting to catch your show live in the morning. Well, thank you. It's good to have you here. And I think Delaware and Oregon are in two different time zones, right? Because Oregon's further west. I'm not really clear on my United States geography. But whatever the reason is, I'm glad you're able to join us live because it's a lot of fun having the live community there. So thanks for sharing that, Christopher. All right. Daniel MP writes, hello, John and crew. I'll be watching the show from my new projector, 150 glorious inches. Keep up the amazing work, and we will love and support the show. Well, thank you so much for that, Dan. You know what? I have honestly been given some thought to the idea of getting a projector myself, because I mean, I thought about it for a few years, but projectors have been getting better and better and better. Because before, there was a good period of time there where you can get a projector and yeah, it's a decent little picture, but it's like totally crap compared to a real television. Now, a real like 4K TV will still give you a better image, but the projectors have been getting so good that it's almost worth the trade-off to basically have a movie-sized screen relative to your distance to the screen in your own home. So I've been giving more and more thought to that. So thank you for making me think about it even more, Daniel. Anyway, I hope you're appreciating it. And do me a favor. You know what, Daniel? If you're seeing this companion video, would you do me a favor and take a picture of your setup with the John Campea Show on and email it to me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. So once again, my email address is just john@thejohncampeashow.com. If you could send me that picture, I would love to see that setup. All right. Thanks a lot for that, man. All right. Jacob Ibarra writes, do you think Paramount went for more critical and audience approval over money with its Terminator, similar to what they did with Bumblebee? Well, here's the thing, Jacob. The reason you go for higher approval from the audience and the critics is to make more money. That's the whole point. The reason you want your audience to like the movie is so that they'll come back maybe a second time, spread good word of mouth so your movie makes more money. Look, great movies don't always make a lot of money, but the better your movie is, the more money it'll make. Like even a movie that doesn't make much money, if it's good, it made more money than it would have if it was a bad film, right? So no, I wouldn't say they went for audience approval. Otherwise, they would have made a Shakespeare movie. They wanted to make the movie as good as they could, make the audience like it, and the majority of the audiences like it. Hopefully the critics like it too, so positive word of mouth spreads. And I'll tell you what, even though this movie is tanking, it's making more money than it would have if the critics and the audiences didn't like the movie. Because if all the audiences were given negative word of mouth and all the critics were giving it negative word of mouth, well, then it would have made even less. So no, they were actually trying, Jacob, to make more money by making everybody else like it more, but they come up a little bit short, unfortunately. All right, Garrett Couch writes, top 10. Number 1, Tombstone. Nice. Number 2, Star Wars trilogy. Number 3, The Quiet Man. Really? I don't think we've seen that one on the list before. Number 4, Cinderella Man. Completely underrated film. Starring Russell Crowe. That movie got ignored, and it's a fabulous movie. I'm glad you liked it, man. 5, Warrior. Nick Nolte is best. Nick Nolte is quite good in it. I don't think it's his best, but he is really, really good in that. Number 6, 7. Number 7, The Patriot. Number 8, War for the Planet of the Apes. I didn't mind War for the Planet of the Apes, but it was my least favorite of the Apes films, to be honest with you. Number 9, the 2014 version Godzilla. And number 10, The Gift. By the way, also starring the same guy who starred in Warrior. By the way, and he directed that film. Really nice little directorial effort there. Anyway, nice list there, Garrett. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. I like that. All right, Jesse writes, I thought Odins Spell says whoever... this came up again. Odins Spell says whoever holds the hammer will possess the power of Thor, and Thor has the power to summon lightning, so holding the hammer gave Cap the ability to summon lightning like Thor. See, here's the thing. I brought up that same thing, because this goes back to the writers of Endgame said it was a big plot hole for them that Captain America was able to wield and then wield lightning, since it's not the hammer that's supposed to be wielding lightning and all that kind of stuff. I think we're playing a game of semantics a little bit, though, because if the writers of the film say, no, this was a plot hole on our part, then we're just misinterpreting the semantics. Because believe me, Jesse, I thought the exact same thing on that. But it is a matter of semantics, because remember, if Odin could just bestow the powers of Thor on anybody, well, then all of his most elite guards would have the power of Thor. His army would be undefeatable, right? Like when Malekith and the Dark Elves were invading Asgard, he's like, okay, my 1,000 greatest soldiers, I bequeath upon all of you the power of Thor. Again, these are just some thoughts that was going through my head, but at the end of the day, if the writers of the movie said that was a plot hole on our part, then it was a plot hole on their part. But again, I can totally see where you're thinking on that. Jesse then follows up, but that's just how I interpret it. I can totally see how that totally makes sense, Jesse. Ryan Cleary writes, hey, bud, just want to say thank you and how much this show means to me. Love having somewhere to discuss movies as I am a major cinephile. You and your team are awesome. Good luck with the new shows. I'll definitely be watching. Well, thank you so much for that, Ryan. It's always really nice, to be honest with you, when somebody wants to write in just to say something nice and just to be encouraging. And that means a lot to me. And I know it means a lot to everybody else on the team as well. So thank you for sending that in, man. I appreciate that. All right. ZOMG Ruler writes, what's Cody Miller's thoughts about the DCEU movies? It's just like any intelligent person's. It depends on the movie. Like any intelligent person, he just goes, if it's a DC movie, it sucks. No, it's like there are movies in the DCU he likes, and then there's movies in the DCU he doesn't like, just like any intelligent person should approach it. Anyway, Luca G writes, hey, John, why is Tarantino one of our great auteurs? Well, that's a matter of opinion, Luca. I mean, there are people out there who are not Quentin Tarantino fans, who do not think he is one of our great auteurs. I think he is one of the greatest storytellers today. He's got a very unique style and way about him. So I think it's just his very unique individuality is just something that seems to resonate with a lot of people. All right, Cinema Monkey movie reviews, or Cinema Survey movie reviews writes, the hammer thing is a non-issue. Odin said, again, same thing as before. It's a matter of semantics. Does Odin just have the ability to just bestow on anybody the power of Thor? If not, why doesn't he do that to everybody and all of his major soldiers so that nobody could ever pose a threat to Asgard? Just something else to keep in mind. Again, it's just a matter of semantics. Ryan Lohner writes, the big issue with the Golden Compass film was they completely wimped out on the book's darker and more controversial stuff. I disagree. I'm pretty sure that won't be happening again. I completely disagree. And the reason I disagree is because that was just a poorly made movie. Look, you could have left out the darker stuff and all that kind of stuff and still made a good movie. You still could have done that. But when you look at the way It's an incoherently put together. There's just a number of problems. Those problems don't magically disappear if you just insert some of the darker stuff and some of the other themes. It doesn't fix the basic problems of their storytelling and how they did the movie. So I gotta say, I don't think if they just include that stuff, that would have fixed everything. I don't agree, because I felt it was just a badly made movie, regardless of what elements you put in or out. So that's my opinion of it at any rate, though. I mean, still, it would have been nice if they did leave that stuff in. I'm in agreement with you on that. But when you look at the movie, it's like they just didn't know how to coherently tell the story properly. They didn't know how to make, because look, you can make a movie about two guys going fishing, and you can make that compelling. You can make it interesting and entertaining to watch. And so they could have done the same thing with Golden Compass, even if they wanted to leave some of the elements out. Elements I don't think they should have taken out, but they did. And you still could have made a decent movie, and they didn't. So I don't know if just reinserting that stuff would have changed it all that much, to be honest with you. Isaac Maajid writes, Remember. Yeah, what is it, the 5th of November, I think it was? I watched V for Vendetta again and saw in the credits that David Leitch was one of the guys from who directed John Wick and has directed other things as well now. And yeah, they remember both of those guys who directed John Wick, the original one. They have an extensive stunt background. Extensive stuff. I highly encourage you, go look up their IMDb and you'll see just how many films they've worked on in that capacity. It's really rather interesting. Thanks for bringing that up, Isaac. All right, Aviator 986 writes, Matthew McConaughey was just cast as Harvey Dent. No, he was not. Just always look at the sources of where you're reading things. It's not to say that he won't be at some point, maybe, but he has not been. All right, Nick Barbera writes, would you be satisfied if Palpatine is in Rise of Skywalker as much as Thanos was in Endgame? Thanos was in a bunch of Endgame. I mean, Thanos wasn't in Endgame as much, Thanos wasn't in Endgame as much as he was in Infinity War. But he was still in a bunch of it. Yeah, as long as, look, you can be on the screen and not be doing anything relevant to the movie. You can have less screen time, but be completely relevant to the movie depending on what the role you're playing is. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you had Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker just as much as Thanos was in Endgame, and you had him doing relevant things to the narrative, then yeah, I will be satisfied with that. I will. All right, but you know me, the more Palpatine, the better, but if it's that much, I would take it. Okay, let's see here. Mark C. writes, Top 10. Number 1, Star Wars, the original trilogy. Number 2, Superman the movie, really. Number 3, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 4, The Lord of the Rings films. Number 5, Gladiator. Number 6, Braveheart. These are some excellent films. Number 7, Blade Runner. You know me, I'm one of the only guys in the world that doesn't like Blade Runner. But Number 8, Captain Blood. Number 9, Field of Dreams. Number 10, Fitz Lang's Metropolis. Dude, that is an eclectic and really nice list. And much of your list is just let's celebrate the films of John Williams' music. Star Wars, Raiders, but Superman the movie, obviously. You don't see a lot of Field of Dreams on there. Like, as people send in a lot of their lists, you don't see a lot of Field of Dreams included in many of them, but I'm glad you did. I love that movie. All right, Newman Studios writes, anyone worthy of the hammer will possess the power of Thor. The hammer obtained the powers from Thor because of Odin's Spell. Again, semantics. The writer said that's not the case. And I guess theoretically it wouldn't make any sense because Odin could just give it all of his honor guard. Suthius writes, a Galaxy Quest documentary coming to cinemas. Is it coming to cinemas? Anyway, I am looking forward to the Galaxy Quest documentary because I am such a crazy fan of that movie. By Gabthaw's Hammer. I mean, I love that movie. I can't wait to see a documentary about it. Alan Gonzales writes, if the theaters need money that bad, why don't they advertise everything in the lobby and play trailers for whatever they want there in 100 screens? For a couple of reasons. Number one, companies won't pay you nearly as much for advertising on some screen in the lobby. Because when you're in the theater, you are a captive audience. You are sitting there looking at a big giant screen, and they will charge you. They can charge much more for putting an ad up there because the audience is going to watch it. It's right there in front of them. You could put up 1 million ads in the lobby, and you could go walking through the lobby, and even though there's 100 ads playing all around you, you may not see a single one or pay attention to a single one. So they are two different things. You know, M&M's may pay a movie theater, you know, I'm just making just hypothetical dollars here, pay a movie theater $100 to play an M&M's ad on the big screen in the movie theater in front of 400 captive audience people. But they might only pay you $5 to play it on a screen in the lobby or less, because one is not equal in value to the other. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, but they got to get them out of it. They're just playing too many ads, man. They're playing too many ads. Mark C. writes, saw Motherless Brooklyn. I got to see that. I was going to go see it tonight at my local AMC, and they were only playing it up until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Seriously, I went earlier today. I thought, I want to go see Motherless Brooklyn tonight. And the local AMC that I was playing at only had like a show that went up to 4, like they had 2 or 3 shows, but the latest one was at 4 o'clock, which I couldn't go to a 4 o'clock in the afternoon show, but they had no evening shows. So I got to figure out how I'm going to see that. Anyway, it's my favorite non-superhero film of the year. Great story, acting, and music. Hey, look, and I love Edward Norton Jr. in these things. Plus, the cast looks fantastic. It's a cool looking story. I'm really dying to see this, so I'm glad you saw it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it so much, Mark. All right, where are we at here? Darth Scorn writes, Jaws 2 is, really? Jaws 2 is the worst in the series? Oh, dude, that's the subjectivity film, because I completely disagree. It's the only boring one. I love Jaws 2. Not nearly as good as Jaws 1, but the other ones are complete crap. But that's how I feel about it. You feel differently. That's the beautiful thing about the subjectivity film. I really like Jaws 2. It wasn't able to recapture all the magic of the first Jaws, but it captured a bunch of it. And I dug it. Yeah, I dug Jaws 2. It's not as good as Jaws 1, but I liked it. Certainly not the worst of the franchise, but hey, you felt that way. I feel another, and we're all just film fans together. All right, Mista47 writes, damn it, John, you should do voice acting. I don't know. I have one voice. I have one voice, and that's kind of the nerd voice. But that's it. I have no other voices besides that. I would be completely talentless as a voice actor. That much is for certain. All right. Cody Johnson writes, and this is the final question, then we're all caught up on our companion questions. Cody Johnson writes, in a post-Joker world for DC films, do you think standalone films is the only future for DC superhero movies? Has Warner Brothers given up on any of their superhero movies being connected? All right. What has happened is there's a couple things to keep in mind here. One, we are currently in an unhealthy obsession with shared cinematic universe. It's pathetic. I'm not saying shared cinematic universe is pathetic. I love shared cinematic universe movies, but I hate the fact that that's all, like whenever now, even audience members, whenever we think of superhero properties, we only think of them in terms of shared cinematic universe, which is pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Why can't we have great shared cinematic universe stuff and great standalone stuff? Many of the greatest superhero movies of all time were standalone in their own reality, just like every movie ever made. Every movie ever made, with the exception of some franchises. But for the most part, the vast majority of most movies ever made in history are like standalone stories. Why can't we have that? See, there's something I haven't talked about this in a while, but we are missing something now from our superhero films. We've also gained a lot in our superhero, but one of the things we've lost is you go back to like Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man did not live in a world in Spider-Man 2 where the Avengers were, where the Hulk was running around, where, you know, Iron Man and Captain America were heroes of Peter Parker growing up. The specialness of Spider-Man 2, one of the things that made Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 so special was that Spider-Man was unique in the world. He didn't live in a world where every 7-Eleven had 5 costume superheroes doing crime patrol on the roof of every 7-Eleven. Like it's getting to the point where it's a joke now in some of these shared cinematic universes. Everybody's got a superpower. Everybody you stumble across walking through the MCU has a superpower or an origin story or something, and nothing's unique in the world anymore. No character you can give us now is truly unique in the world. because there's tons of superpowered beings out there now. And, you know, when you look at a Spider-Man 2, and I'm just using this as an example, Spider-Man, one of the things that made the character in the movies so special was that he was unique in the world. There wasn't 583 other registered superheroes running around doing the same thing. It was unique in the world, and there was something special about that. And when you look at Christopher Nolan's Batman, you know, Christopher Nolan wanted nothing to do with extended universe nonsense because Batman was unique in his world. The Christopher Nolan Batman was not a world where magic aliens from other planets flew around in the sky with long flowing capes and shot laser beams out of their eyes. That's not the world. And what did we get? We got arguably, to some people, the greatest comic book movie of all time in The Dark Knight. And one of the greatest comic book franchises in movies of all time with Christopher Nolan's Batman films. And part of that was because Batman was unique in his world. There was no, you know, mythical Amazonian princess with a golden lasso and invisible jet. Whoosh, whoosh, I'm flying through the sky. Or fishmen that talk to aquatic mammals jumping out of the water from Atlantis. Not that I don't love all that stuff. Clearly I do. But the thing is, in Christopher Nolan, one of the things that made Christopher Nolan's Batman so special was that because he lived in that isolated world. And Batman was unique in that world. Spider-Man was unique in his world. The X-Men and mutants were utterly unique in their world. There weren't 5,000 other superheroes running around. One of the things that never really made sense in the comics is that why does the world fear and hate mutants, but they totally embrace other superheroes with powers that are kind of not unlike what some mutants' powers are? Oh, but you got your powers from birth. Ew. Oh, but you got your powers from a radioactive shower from space. Okay, we love you. Like, there's something about that was never really consistent, and that's fine. Whatever, we gloss over that. But the X-Men were unique in their world. Mutants were unique in their world, right? And again, and Superman, and from the original Superman, he was unique, something the world had never seen. And I just feel like we can have our awesome shared cinematic universe movies, but why not also have some great standalone movies that stand on their own, you know? Anyway, that all said as a precursor, Warner Brothers is not, you know, abandoning forever and ever, amen, the idea of having their characters cross over. It's just that right now they tried doing that initially and it didn't really work for them. So what they're trying right now is, and what they're having great success in, is really kind of isolating their stories. Some, like Aquaman, are an isolated story but still take place in the grander DC cinematic universe. Others, like Joker, are Elseworlds kind of a thing where it's in its own separate universe altogether. And there's no super beings running around in Joker's world. That's just a standoff, one alone movie, boom. So they're doing both. And they are going to focus, you know, Shazam. Focus just on Shazam. But clearly that existed within the grander DC cinematic universe. They talk about the DC heroes in that movie. Wonder Woman will be the same thing. So I think they will get back to eventually doing some crossovers, but I think for the next couple of years, you're going to see them really focus on individual stories, some within the shared cinematic universe, some outside of it. And I personally am very, very excited by their approach right now. I'm excited. I'm feeling an excitement for DC's movies right now that I haven't felt since they first announced Ben Affleck was going to be Batman. I'm seriously feeling very, very optimistic about DC's future right now. So let's just see how their plan plays out. And I think they will. Again, I think a couple of years down the road, you're going to see them doing some crossover. But for the next few years, I think you're going to see them focus on standalone stories, both within the shared cinematic universe and outside of the shared cinematic universe. And I think that is a healthy, exciting thing. So let's see where things go with DC right now. I think the future looks bright. All right, guys, that will do it for this installment of the companion video. We are now all caught up on all the questions that got sent in. Thank you guys for sending in the questions, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel along the way. And we here at the John Campea YouTube channel, thank you for that very much. All right, guys, that will do it for me. My name is John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time,